Guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
What?
Do what? Let the dogs out. Ooh, let the dogs out. Ooh, ooh.
Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. Always available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Always available wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Well, there are shows and there are shows, and this is a big one, a preview of the Georgia LSU SEC championship game that means next to nothing. What teams are you rooting against or for this weekend? Also, why the latest change in the college football playoff benefits Tennessee in a great, great way. And is the latest tweet by Lane Kiffin just sad? What will become of his career? And Deion Sanders possibly to Colorado, Cincinnati, or Southern Florida. Wow. If he makes one of those jobs, that's a pretty big leap in a short amount of time. It shows an awful lot of belief in what he is doing. With Amanda LaFrada and Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker. Good morning, Amanda. How are you?
Doing well, Dave. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And Caleb Calhoun, you, sir?
Doing great. How you guys doing this morning?
Well, so we've got a lot to get to. I want to remind you the Down and Dirty at 30 is each day at 8:30 Eastern time. That's when we begin the program. And today it's brought to you by our friends at City Heating and Air Conditioning. City Heat and Air, Integrity Matters, right there in North Knoxville. They serve the entire Knoxville area. You'll love City Heating and Air. cityheatandair.com. All right, guys, so let's dive into it. The latest changes in the college football playoff. Please be sure and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. By the way, I thank all of our listeners. We have hit 1,500 subs, and that's quite a benchmark. When Amanda and I began this venture, we were hoping for, what do you say, 400 by the end of the year? Was that the goal, Amanda?
The goal that was probably unattainable was 400 by the end of the year. But
And we're sitting at 15. A large part of that is because of the young lady you hear talking. If you're on the audio formats, which you can download us on Apple or Spotify or all that good stuff, wherever you get your apps. But she's a good part of that. And if you're watching on the YouTube format, she is right in the middle. So hit that like button so we can continue to open it up to more people. We've got some big announcements coming up as far as some additions to the show. So this is exciting. 1,500 subs. Thought that may, if we were lucky, may happen by the end of year 2. We just started June the 6th. So a lot going on, but I want to start with Caleb, who he and I were breaking it down yesterday about how the college football playoff and the decision to go to 12 teams in 2024 instead of 2025 is perfect for a lot of teams, but really, really perfect for the Vols. Why, Caleb? Lay that argument out for me, sir.
All right. Well, good to be here this morning. And first of all, Hooker's got a lot of subs. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but throw the joke in there.
sounds a little weird. Amanda's ultimately, if you think about it, the pimp. I call her Muse, but she's the pimp. She's the one getting Hooker out there. So yeah, she gives me a slap down every once in a while if I misbehave. So
wow.
She gives me the backhand. She's like, no, that's not going to help us with subs. And I just take it and I say, I'm sorry. What more do you need, Miss Amanda?
I'd forget the backhand because I felt like that would feel pretty good. So I didn't backhand. No, I'm just saying if I could backhand somebody right now, that'd be nice. That'd be cool.
Have you guys ever backhanded anybody? I don't think I have.
No.
My old dog, before I learned that negative reinforcement was not a good thing for your dog, I would hit my old dog because I was trying to teach them, and now I don't do that anymore, guys. Don't call the cops on me.
I do the pop. I did do the pop under the chin when I had a German Shepherd, and it was just a barely pop, and that did work. It would just get its attention.
I have backhanded someone.
You backhanded someone? I have B-slapped somebody when I was in college, and I said, "What are you going to do about it?" And fortunately, it was nothing because we were pretty equal. It would have been a real fight in the middle of a bar. And I punched somebody, of course, who hasn't. But I've never B-slapped. I've never backhanded. But I've used the B-slap. But
Always Nick. Don't forget Nick Saban's daughter has, I think, hasn't she? But
She beat the crap out of somebody.
Who did she beat up?
One of her sorority sisters.
Yes.
Is she tall or is she like Nick Saban?
I think she's like Nick Saban. She's not tall.
Okay.
All right. I'm
So
sorry
what
for
are we
getting off track, guys.
Yeah, a little off track, but that's fine. People already on the message board. John said he just let his dog out. That's referring to our intro. Thank you, John. I love you being here. LSU, that's who he's rooting for. I hate Georgia, beat Georgia. So we'll see if that happens. John says Amanda in a cat fight pay-per-view. We might want to hear more about that later. Was this with a female or a male, Amanda?
A male.
Have you ever hit a female? Have you ever been in one of those cat fights?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't ever had an issue that much with a female before. I'm always under one of those. I'm the kind of person that if your boyfriend cheats on you or something like that, you don't go after the girl. Don't go after the girl. It's not the girl's fault. It's the guy's fault. The girl owes you nothing unless it's like a friend of yours.
John says Amanda's a refreshing voice on the program who knows football and MMA.
Thank you. I don't know MMA, but
Could you?
I did backhand someone once.
I have a feeling I know who it is, but I'm not going to go into it. Did you? Maybe I don't. Okay.
No.
Can you armbar someone?
Can I armbar someone?
Yes.
And if you taught me, I could. I can't just go out and armbar someone. I'm not a violent person. I just have backhanded somebody before.
Yeah, if anybody she was going to backhand, it would be me, and she hasn't really. All right, so Caleb, this college football playoff, I'm excited. Whether it's Tennessee, Nebraska, UCLA, whatever team we covered, that this is actually happening. I like the way that you have to continue to play hard at the end of the season to either get the home game or get the bye. I think the way they've got it set up, and I'm one that, listen, I'll throw dispersions at college football and the way they run it a lot, but I like this system. So I'll ask you both before we get to Caleb's breakdown of how it helps the Vols. Do you like the system, guys, of how you've got the buys and you've got the home games? Do you like all that?
I mean, if you're gonna do it, that's the way to do it. Do I like the 12-team playoff? I think it's a little much. I thought the 4-team was a little much, but if you're gonna do it, that's the way to do it. However, if you look at college football right now, you can very much see that it's headed to the NFL. Like it's gonna be pretty much an exact replica of the NFL by the time it's all done.
I agree with a lot of that, and I think what you're going to see, at least I hope, Caleb, is that you're going to see some of these teams because of the money that will be brought in. I think you're going to see some of these teams be able to close the gap a little bit between basically the Georgias and the Alabamas of the world, the two teams that have dominated over the past decade. I think you're going to see them be able to close the gap because there's going to be more TV money for the college football playoff. Now I'm talking 5-10 years down the line. I hope that's the case. I hope it's not a case where we go into a 12-team playoff saying, Georgia's going to win this thing, and they do. It may be that way in the first couple of years, but I don't think it's going to be that way long term. So, Caleb, why does this help the Vols year number 1, which would be 2024?
So the reason this helps the Vols, and this is a big deal that it moved up. It doesn't matter that it didn't move up to 2023. And the reason is, I'm going to say this up front now, barring some miracle, I don't think Tennessee is going to be the same team next year. I think next year is going to be a bit of a transition year. They lose Hendon Hooker, but they don't just lose Hendon Hooker. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do on their offensive line. They lose some key defensive players. Defense already was an issue this past year, we all know, but the guys that really helped nullify it being an issue are going to be gone, which is Byron Young, Trayvon Flowers. And whatever you feel about him, Jeremy Banks. And so there's just going to be a big drop off. On top of that, Tennessee football has to play Alabama and Florida on the road next year. They beat both by 1 score at home. I know, Dave, you're not. I'm still kind of a believer in Billy Napier as a program runner. So I think Florida's going to be a lot better next year. And then there's still Georgia on this slate. So, and their SEC West opponent is Texas A&M. I know Texas A&M struggled this year, but let's not pretend they don't have talent down there. And so I just don't see them winning 10 games again in the regular season next year. So 2023 is out. 2024 is their magic year. And I've been bullish on 2024 for a while. That's when Nico will have a year in the system. Taven Jackson, if he stays, will have had 2 years in the system. Heupel may have found another quarterback in the transfer portal. He'll have options to pick a really good quarterback by 2024. There will be a lot of guys back. They have things are in place for them to be. They might not play a non-conference Power 5 foe in 2024 because remember, they had to cancel the series with Oklahoma, and I don't think they found a replacement in time. So the schedule is going to be really easy in 2024. And I think because of that, that was their year to have a magic run. Now, magic run, does that mean SEC championship or does that mean 10-2 like this year? We don't know, but with the playoff expanding to 12 teams, it doesn't really matter. What is true also is Texas and Oklahoma aren't joining the SEC until 2025. So 2024, they do have a better chance of winning the SEC, but as we've seen, because of the way the playoff is set up, and what I like is that's going to mean something. Winning the SEC, getting that first round bye is going to be a big deal. And if you don't get that first round bye, being able to play that first round at home is going to be a big deal. And that's why I'm actually a fan. That's why I've come around to your side, Dave, is that it's, people are complaining that it takes away from the regular season. I don't think it does. I mean, I think it involves more games. The 1 versus 2 big game matchups still matter because you have to win your conference to get a first round bye. And so I think about this year, look at the Tennessee schedule this year. If there was a 12-team playoff this year, the Alabama game still would have been a big deal. Alabama losing to Tennessee is why they aren't going to get a first round bye. Tennessee beating Alabama would be why they're in the playoff right now. So it's not like these regular season games aren't huge deals. It's just more teams will have regular season games that matter. So that's why I am a fan of the format overall. But yes, I think for Tennessee's sake, I think that 2024 is their magic year. You've set up a system now where the playoff is almost the baseline for them in 2024, and winning the SEC is still a possibility because, again, Texas and Oklahoma won't be there yet.
Well, and it may be sooner than that. I'm just going to throw that out there because if you look at 2023 schedule, I agree that's a rebuilding year, but you're looking at Virginia, that's a win. Austin Peay, that's a win. At Florida, and let me be real clear where I stand on Billy Napier. I think he is much like Butch Jones, and the same thing I said about him, not like Butch Jones, but I think he'll get Florida, Amanda, to 8 or 9 wins. I just don't know if he's going to get them to 10 or 11 like we heard so much at SEC Media Days. I don't know that he's going to make them an elite program, but I think he gets them very respectable, unlike this year. And then you have University of Texas San Antonio. That should be a win. South Carolina should be a win, but you know what happened this year. As you mentioned, Texas A&M, Alabama, you would think at Alabama, if you had to, chalk that up to a loss. In Kentucky, UConn, Missouri, Georgia, Vanderbilt. So if you look at that schedule, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to say a minimum of 7 wins. And I'm kind of flip-flopping South Carolina, Kentucky. I think they win one of those if we want to get into swing games already for next year. But the point I'm trying to make is that they will be right at that threshold because you have, and I agree with Caleb, 2024 is the year that you make a serious run because of the rebuilding at Tennessee. But Amanda, for right or wrong, it is going to change, like you mentioned, with the NFL. And you've got Washington at number 12 right now in the college football ranking. They have 2 losses. You've got Utah at number 11 with 3 losses. You've got Kansas State at 3 losses. So if it were 2023, Tennessee could still make a run, but I certainly see Caleb's point. I think a lot of teams are going to be able to make a run into that 12-team playoff, and it's, I think, exciting for the sport. I understand you like the two, and I certainly could go with you and make an argument for that, but I'm pretty fired up, to be honest with you, with the way they've set it up.
I mean, they've set it up exactly like they've set up the NFL, and that's fine, because I think not everybody, but most college, fans wanted to see that. So I understand the need for 12 teams. It does bring in, and what you're going to hear from national media like Joe Klatt and Danny Cannell is an SEC bias that's not really there, but people will start to say that it's there, because look at how many teams right now are in the top 12 in the SEC, and you have Tennessee with 2 losses, you have Alabama with 2 losses, you have Georgia undefeated. I'm not sure if there's another one, but there was LSU until they dropped it to A&M.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Georgia at 1, Alabama at 6, Tennessee at 7. And so those would be the 3. And to your point, the SEC commissioner said yesterday that he expected 3 teams to be in there and quite possibly 4 year in and year out. So you're right.
Yes. So we'll hear a lot about screaming about SEC bias. We will see a very long season, more than what we're used to seeing, because we did talk to the College Football Playoff Committee chairman, and he said that they will just extend the season to fit the 12 in there. Like, it won't be, we're going to cut out some, cupcake games, which I'm glad that they're not doing. But it won't be, hey, we're cutting these out. It's going to be, we're going to do a whole 12-game season. And then if you're the last team standing, you're playing 16 games, I think, total was what it ends up being.
Sounds right.
If you don't get a bye.
Yeah.
If you don't get a bye.
But that's including the conference championship.
But you would have to play the conference championship and not get a bye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, wait, is that right? Because it's 13 including the conference championship.
Yeah, and if you don't get a bye, you play 3 playoff games.
Okay. So then, yes, 16. So we're looking at a NFL, season, basically.
Well, that's just for 2 teams, though. I mean, I see what you're saying.
Correct.
But the vast majority of teams aren't going to play that many games. The thing that I find interesting is, what if you're between the 4th and 5th spot? Okay, so the 4th, your team gets a bye. So for your head saying, my team could use a bye and get healthy, right? But if you're the 5th team, you host a game, and you want a game in your backyard. So as a fan, are you like, I'd rather be 5 and have an extra event to go tailgate at than win 4 and have a bye? Because at 4, you advance automatically because you have a bye, but then that's at a neutral site. So you don't have a home game.
These are going to be the arguments. I mean, this is how it's going to play out. People are going to constantly argue, well, we should be 4, we should be 5 for whatever reason. What's going to really be bad is in that first round of the playoff, if a star player gets hurt for somebody else, that's when you're going to start hearing the back and forth of, well, we should have been this number and we should have done, we shouldn't have even been playing. So why is this guy? It's the constant back and forth between people it's never going to stop. And
but isn't that part of what college football is built upon? Don't you still want some of that? You don't want it completely clean, cut and dry, do you?
I mean, it depends on who you are, I guess. I mean, some people would like it cut and dry. It hits, the BCS and mathematical equations versus college football playoff, where it's a lot of, human interaction, human emotion going into making the decision. So a lot of people want it cut and dry. So it depends on who you are. But for people who think it's going to solve all of the problems, it's not going to solve all of the problems. People are going to come up with new problems and new issues. As far as Tennessee goes in 2024, or even, in next year, how many times have we seen a transfer quarterback come in and make a huge difference? Joe Burrow, 2019 for LSU. We've seen, I guess, Kyler Murray did it. Baker Mayfield. So it's
Every Oklahoma quarterback under Lincoln Riley.
exactly. So with that being said, what's if it's, if they can do it, what says that Tennessee can't do it? Bring in a walk-on or a transfer and then completely change the game next season.
Well, and I'm writing something. It'll be on offthehooksports.com later this afternoon that I think Tennessee should go after a transfer quarterback despite Nico, despite Joe Milton. I think that's the direction they should go. So we'll have that up and we'll discuss that later in the program. But first, I do want to get to today's tough question. Today's tough question is brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock, the best personal injury attorney in all of Chattanooga. And he can go head to head with those attorneys that represent insurance companies that want to give you as little money as possible. Remember Zach England. Zach's got your back. Zach England of Best and Brock. Today's tough question is now.
We do our research. Have you done your research?
We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my soupe, Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda Lafrada.
You drinking my sake, Kimosabi?
Oh my God.
All right, so we've got an opportunity for somebody on the message board to give us a who are you rooting against. I thought about who are you rooting for, but I'm going to go who are you rooting against this weekend in college football. Since the Vols aren't involved, let's just make it dastardly and mean. Who are you rooting against? Who do you want to see lose? Or I guess we could do both ways. Who do you want to see lose or win? You want to do that, Amanda?
How would you do that? Who would you want to see lose or win?
How about what if we did? What do you want to see happen this week? Because I want to see personally TCU win, and the reason is I want to see TCU win and see if they can play with the big boys. That to me is a good storyline. So Immortal One says Georgia lose. Be sure and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Big day as we top 1.5 thousand subscribers. That's pretty awesome. So hit the like button, hit subscribe, and you will be a part of the show and get your notifications on. What about we do that? What do you want to see happen this weekend? And my vote would be I want to see TCU win. I think it's a good story. I like those guys that come out of nowhere. Do I think they could be a Cincinnati that steps into the college football playoff and gets hammered? Yes, I absolutely do think that could happen. However, I would like to see if they can stand toe-to-toe, especially since the offense is somewhat Josh Heupel-like. It's, very down the field. So
that gives us 8 options. So it would be difficult.
No, we'll just pick 4 options. The first 4 we get. So we got Georgia lose, Immortal One, and that leaves you guys with 1 each. So I've got TCU win, Georgia lose, Amanda, Caleb. What do you want to see this weekend in terms of a win and a loss out of all the conference championship games?
I would like to see a Michigan loss.
See, I thought you were going to say Southern Cal because you didn't like Caleb Williams.
I don't like Caleb Williams, but a Michigan loss would really turn things upside down. Because if
see the world burn, you're like the Joker.
Yeah, because if you see Michigan take a loss to Purdue this weekend, that knocks Michigan probably, depending. That'll knock them down, but that'll knock Ohio State completely out.
Okay, so, all right, I like it. So, TCU win. That's Dave. I refer to myself in the third person only because it helps me keep track of stuff. We've got Georgia lose on the message board. They Immortal One jumped to it. And we've got Michigan lose. All right, Caleb, you're the last one. You fill in the gap. That's today's tough question. And it's brought to you by Zach England of Best of Brock. Zach's got your back. What do you got?
So I'm going to just do the reverse of Amanda. I kind of want to see Michigan win only because I feel like of all coaches in college or NFL right now, Jim Harbaugh has to be the most accomplished coach without a championship at either level. And I'm like, I kind of want to see him get one. His brother beat him in the Super Bowl in 2013. That was the Kaepernick Flacco Super Bowl. I think Jim Harbaugh deserves a national championship.
Golly, you talk about a bad matchup of quarterbacks. A Kaepernick Flacco Super Bowl. I sometimes forget that happened. Those are 2 bad quarterbacks. The best quarterback ever, by the way, Trent Dilfer. The best quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. gets the got a college job, didn't he?
Yes,
Yeah,
he did.
where the UAB job.
Yeah, he got the UAB job, which is a surprisingly good job. Wasn't he at Lipscomb Academy?
He was, and considering that UAB wasn't a program like 3 years ago, 4 years
Well,
ago.
the problem with
whatever it
UAB is
was.
Bear Bryant Jr. is on the board of trustees at Alabama and constantly tries to undercut UAB out of sheer pettiness. And so there's stories. He led the charge to shut down the program in 2014. There was a spat between Bear Bryant and Bear Bryant Sr. and UAB back in the 80s. And Jr. has been all about settling scores with UAB since then.
All right.
So,
all right. So what are our 4 choices for today's tough question? As Amanda is always tweeting like a madman, mad woman.
So it's a Georgia loss, a TCU win, a Michigan loss, and a Michigan win. I guess we're leaving USC completely out of it.
I guess so. They got left out of it. We could always tweak later, but I think we're in a good spot now. Be sure and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we want to see you do that. So we're off and running, and an exciting poll question. I remind you that Zool Beer Company is the official craft beer of Off the Hook Sports. Go to xulbeer.com, xulbeer.com, and they've got a great location downtown. If you haven't been there, worldwide award-winning craft beer, and they have parking downtown, which is amazing. You don't see that a lot. So get out to Zool Beer Company, and we've got some plans to do a fun little get-together down there, and we're excited about that. We'll tell you more. We'll even get Caleb Calhoun in town, possibly. That could happen. So stay tuned. Coming up on the big show, should Tennessee be shopping for a quarterback in the transfer portal? Might make Nico mad. Might step on Joe Milton's toes. Not sure that I really care, as we'll get to that. Guardian Investment Advisors, I should say, GIAplantoday.com. Guardian Investment Advisors not only shows you where to put your money, but why you need to put your money there. And they give you a very detailed explanation of how you can achieve financial freedom, retirement. And nowadays, with video teleconferencing, you're able to hook up with them anywhere in the United States of America. That means you can access absolutely one of the best no matter where you live. That's GIAplantoday.com. Tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. GIAplantoday.com, and put your money where it matters. And with inflation, that's a big issue right now. So you've worked for your money. You might as well make more on it, and you might as well put yourself in the best financial position. So coming up, should the Vols go shopping in the transfer portal for another quarterback? 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
Has risen to the highest level in over 40 years, according to the April 2022 U.S. inflation calculator. Will your investments provide you the income you need in retirement? Are you losing purchasing power of your savings due to inflation? Simply stated, if the cost of goods and services are 8% higher and you're only earning 4% in your investments, that money buys you less of what you need. Right now is the time to act. Call Guardian Investment Advisors today.
Hey folks, Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant.
It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Nest Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue. but Chattanooga goes to grill.
Got cataracts? We can fix that. Never miss another moment. With a little help from Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn at cctis.com.
I think I had the levels a little too high. Did I blow you guys out?
Yes.
Totally caught us off guard.
Yeah. I'll send you the doctor bill.
He's mad about our hooker jokes earlier. That was his revenge.
Apparently.
Painful. All right, welcome to the program. Welcome back. We're going to dive into something that's kind of a touchy subject for many. If you're on board now, hit that like button. It really helps us. We greatly appreciate it. Topping 1.5 thousand subscribers today. Big step for us, so we greatly appreciate it. We love to hit 2,000 by the end of the year. It's December 2nd. I guess it's possible. We'll give it a shot. Your thoughts on the message board are always welcome. And John says, I'm up. Yeah, sorry, I was a little loud, John. I've got a new piece of equipment that will eliminate all of that. And Amanda is very happy. So I felt like sending Amanda the receipt just so she knew that I actually purchased it because I've been talking for a while. But it will control the volume levels. So we've had some volume level issues, but we're moving.
You should hear the production meetings.
Yes, we have production meetings every morning at 5 o'clock. Me, Caleb, and Amanda at 5 a.m. every morning. So when we go through the show, and sometimes they're a little bit loud. Big Papa wants to see a Michigan loss. We asked today's tough question, brought to you by Zach England today, and that was, what do you want to see this weekend? So I went with TCU win. Georgia loss was, who was that went with Georgia loss?
That was our message board.
Yeah, it was a message board. And then Michigan loss was Amanda because she's the Joker and wants to see the world burn.
That's the best thing for any SEC teams. Is Michigan losing because it drops Ohio State too.
I agree. No, I totally agree. So, and then Michigan win on Caleb's behalf. I do not want to see two Big Ten teams in this thing. That is.
Well, I want all the underdogs to lose this weekend. So whereas Amanda's the Joker, I like seeing the path of least resistance. I'm the same way in March Madness, by the way. Everybody's like, I want to see the upsets. I'm like, I want to see Duke play for the national title.
But you just said you wanted to see all the upsets.
No, he said not the upsets.
Oh,
he
not
wants to see all the favorites win. What kind of sadistic person are you? Like, you can't see all the favorites win. That no one roots for that, Grinch. Everybody roots for the underdog. That's what everybody hates. Everybody hates Alabama. Everybody hates, the Patriots. Everybody hates, the old Patriots. Tom Brady. Everybody roots for somebody else to win it.
I want the Patriots Cowboys Super Bowl that the world does not want because I always wanted a Tom Brady Patriots versus the Cowboys in the Super Bowl because I like seeing people that everybody hates do well. I hate the underdog people. Like I'm sorry, I hate this whole it's the ultimate participation trophy. Okay, oh my god, I love the underdog and I want to see him do well. And I'm like, it drives me crazy. Okay, I'm like, this is sports. I want to see the best. I want to see the best win. Unfortunately, the Cowboys haven't been that year. Sorry, Dave, but
no.
I just want chaos.
I would just, as a Cowboys fan, I'd rather just them be 3-13 and get excited about the draft, or like really a legitimate Super Bowl contender. It's like they've been in that middle land forever of around 10 wins.
Can't get past the first playoff game.
Yeah,
that's where the Cowboys have been.
That's the worst. I mean, I've been living that. I mean, my son looks at me, and I had to pull up recently at the 1992 Cowboys at San Francisco game when they upset San Francisco, and have him watch that game to see that they actually won big games at one point. And, he's like 3.5 hours deep, and he's like, is this almost over? I was like, wait, you got to see the Alvin Harper dig route. for an 80-yard gain, and he sat in and watched it. It was a long day at the Hooker household. All right, the topic we want to dive in today is the transfer portal, and it's brought to you by Andy Mason, Andy Mason Real Estate Group. Go to andymasonrealestate.com, andymasonrealestate.com. Don't waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by going with another realtor. You're crazy if you do, because Andy Mason has 2 business principles: best service, best price, and has over 40 years of experience right there in North Knoxville, but the entire Knoxville area. He is awesome. Amanda has a devilish grin, which scares me. Let me, I don't know. Am I getting ready to get
She's going to backhand you again, Dave?
I know every time Amanda has a devilish grin, I get a shot. Like they're sort of.
No, I'm looking at my dog. She just like adjusted. She has this big fluffy bed, and she just adjusted herself, and she looks so peaceful, and it just makes me smile.
What would
She's
happen?
cute.
What would happen, by the way? I want to talk about this later in the show. Coach Lance is going to join us a little bit later. But what would happen, by the way, if all 4 teams got upset? That's something I want to take a look at. That would be wild. That would be awesome. Okay.
That would not happen because like just statistically it's close to impossible.
Yes.
So that would not happen. But I could see some teams falling this weekend. But it'd be awesome.
Well, it almost did kind of happen when back in 1998, Kansas State and UCLA had to lose to get Tennessee in there. So that was 2 of the top 4.
No, Tennessee was number 1 in the BCS. They were going to be fine. It was
an SEC championship weekend. They needed
help.
They
they were number 3 in the coaches poll because the coaches hated Tennessee during that time. But
still number 1 in the BCS.
They were number 1 in the BCS. The schedule strength got them there. Remember, they had the schedule strength, and Tennessee's schedule strength was through the roof. Like that's probably the hardest schedule any national championship team ever played, which is crazy to think about.
Okay, but I don't want to second guess you because you're Mr. History, but
it did get Florida State to back in, but
okay. Yeah. All right, so Mitchell. Okay, I'll trust you. Mitchell's rooting for chaos indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, chaos is good. Hit that like button. Okay, so I believe this firmly, and this is going to be on offthehooksports.com this afternoon. Tennessee's got to get a quarterback in the transfer portal. Now, immediate reaction from some of you might be, oh, you could scare off Nico, especially if you got him before he enrolls in early January. And the transfer portal closes on January the 15th, by the way, so the timing could work out poorly for that. But I don't care. I don't believe that Joe Milton is Andrew says Calhoun's correct. Fine, Andrew. I actually cover that team, and maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly. But anyway, I believe they've got to get a quarterback. Caleb, I think you and I both like Taven Jackson, but that's an awful lot to risk if Joe Milton comes out and he's not ready. To have any sort of quarterback controversy is not good heading into August, and I think they will coming out of spring. I think it will still be unknown, and I don't think that's just going to be a public statement as coaches like to do. I think they absolutely will have an unknown at quarterback heading into August. Now, you might say Nico Iamaleava is going to be the guy. He may be, and that would be fantastic. But I watched the kid, and he's listed at 190 pounds, and he looks like he's about $165. So I'm sure he's more than that. I'm sure he can gain 10, 15 pounds of muscle, but 205, best case scenario, is still too light. And we don't know. Trust me. Brian Darden. Does anybody remember that name? That was the lock, the 5-star tailback that was supposed to be the next great tailback in the mid-90s after Reggie Cobb, Chuck Webb, and all those guys. Nobody remembers his name. I can remember people saying, I can remember Jimmy Himes, who I respect and writes for the site. I respect him immensely. Said that's going to be the next great Tennessee tailback. Never happened. There is always a chance. A wise coach once said to me, they are not prospects when they arrived on campus. They are suspects. Not in a criminal way, but they are suspect as players. So every single player that shows up on campus, I don't care if they develop a way that he has 6 stars, there's a chance he could absolutely be a bust. There's a chance that he could get frustrated if Joe Milton wins the job and transfer after year 1. There are all these possibilities. Caleb, I believe, let me start with you, and then we'll go to Amanda. I believe Tennessee needs another quarterback in the transfer portal, one with experience, one that could theoretically step in and play in 2023. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. It's hard for me to admit because I'm going to be honest. I really like Joe Milton as a person. I just don't think he can start. If the accuracy issues weren't fixed when he started last week against Vanderbilt, almost 2 full seasons after he started before, it's hard for me to think they're going to be fixed. And so for people that are questioning for people that are saying you got to keep Nico happy, you don't want a quarterback that is going to be the type of quarterback that says, I'm going to run if you bring a transfer and bring me competition. That's not a guy you want at quarterback. My example,
especially with the portal, because
exactly,
if things didn't work out for him, he could leave.
Exactly. My experience with that is, and Dave, you know this, in 1999, Lloyd Carr was trying to cater to Drew Henson. I want to keep Drew Henson happy, so I'm going to have him co-start with Tom Brady when everybody was knowing that Tom Brady was the better player, the better quarterback. Because, by the way, because Lloyd Carr did that, he launched Nick Saban's career, because Michigan State beating Michigan is what made Nick Saban a high-profile coach, and the only reason Michigan State won that game was, and Nick Saban's admitted this, was because Lloyd Carr started Drew Henson, and had they played Tom Brady for most of the game, Michigan would have won that game. Drew Henson never amounted it. Drew Henson didn't even amount to anything in the end. And
no, he was a pitcher for the Yankees. Amanda, that's digging deep. You want to go that deep?
I don't have that much to go. That is digging quite deep. Caleb, you are right. I looked up the record of the 1998 AP poll.
Okay,
and Caleb is correct.
Let's just all prove Dave wrong. Good morning, Orange.
I'm just saying.
No, that's fine. All right, Amanda. So would you, if you're Josh Heupel, go out and get a quarterback knowing that it could shake up the apple cart?
I think Caleb's right. I think if that does shake up Nico's decision, then that's not the kind of quarterback that you want. However, 10 years ago, it was a lot different than it is now. Now it is either it's instant gratification now. And that's what these players have been taught is you play, you start. If you don't, then leave. Like Coach Landry said, if they're being told around them every single day, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. And if you don't get what you want, just go ahead and leave, because somebody else will start Nico. If Nico doesn't start at Tennessee, and I don't think he should start his first year, he needs, I'm always a firm believer in sitting and watching and learning. That's just, I think that is how it should be done. But if he doesn't start, there's somebody out there that will take him and start him immediately because he has the talent to do so. But being scared of your players starts a whole new conversation. And that's not something that Tennessee wants to get into. And I know Josh Heupel's already talked about Spire and how great it is and the NIL and yada, yada, yada. But making it an environment where you're run by the players instead of by the coaching is not a good idea. So yes, reach out in the transfer portal, get somebody else.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Peyton Manning said the one thing that he didn't want to do is come in a year after a quarterback. So he didn't want to, he came in with Brandon Stewart, who ended up transferring to Texas A&M. Okay, but he wouldn't come in after. So a year behind a guy that had a year to learn in the system. So I'm pretty much playing devil's advocate with myself. It's way different this year. You could transfer back out. You're not locked into a 5-year commitment. You don't have to sit a year if you transfer. So that argument is out the window.
And Nico's already done that.
What's that?
Nico's already done that too, because he's a year after Taven Jackson.
Yeah. So, I mean, that to me, that argument is out the window. I'm just trying to think of things that could potentially scare him off. And I can't think of anything. As confident as he is, I think if you went out and got 3 quarterbacks in the transfer portal, Nico's still showing up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if
this is. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Caleb.
This is a capitalistic society. Embrace competition. If you're great, embrace competition. And that's just how I feel about it. And I don't just say that for quarterback. I say that at every position.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think if Nico is not the one to embrace competition, if he's not the one that will, that wants, if he's not the guy that wants to come in and really compete and prove himself, I think we've seen that he's that guy that wants to prove himself. And he's very much a team player, as we've seen with his volleyball, game and all that stuff. He's very much a team player. So if he's not the guy that wants to come in and have like healthy competition with someone, he's not the guy that you want. So it's not a matter of let's keep him happy. You don't want that kind of atmosphere and environment with your players if he's the guy that you have to keep happy. It never works out well.
Here's the other thing to remember, guys. We always give the prospects, I believe, a little bit too much leverage in this. When I look at Nico, and this is not a knock, so don't read it as a knock. When I look at Nico, he is a great fit for a Josh Heupel type system. The difference between him and Arch Manning is I think if you brought back the old West Coast offense from the 90s, Arch Manning could run that and would be a great fit. I think Arch Manning's a perfect fit for any offense, other than like the triple option or something. I think that Nico is a perfect fit for this offense. So don't give Nico all the leverage. Tennessee has every bit as much of the leverage in this whole marriage, my opinion.
I don't know if Tennessee has, they might have leverage in this situation, but they also have, donors who are saying we've paid this much money for Nico and you're not making you happy. That makes us unhappy. So
if he's flippant though like that, and you pick up, I'm talking extremes here. You pick up 3 quarterbacks in the transfer portal and he cruises, then at least you don't ever give him that money, theoretically. Because he's not allowed to get it until he shows up on campus. It's supposed to be a promise because you're not allowed to give it to prospects. So
right, but
at least you never spend those dollars.
Well, if he shows up on campus, he can stay like that LSU quarterback did for 3 months, grab the money and go. So, I mean,
let's also Heupel has a little bit of leverage to stand up to the donors right now. This isn't like Dave, you were telling me in like 2010, like about how the donors really pushed the Derek Dooley hire, and it sounded like Derek Dooley really had to listen to the donors a lot of times.
And how Mike Hamilton had no say in it. And you're right. August, people were more excited about Nico than they were about this football team that just won 10 games. Were they not?
They were. And so I don't think anybody saw them being number 1 in the first college football playoff ranking. So Heupel's built himself some goodwill where he could tell the donors to just F off right now if he wanted to. He could say, I'm going to do things my way. I'm here to win championships, and you're here to listen to me. And so that leverage may not last forever. Like he doesn't have Nick Saban leverage at Alabama, who can do whatever he wants. But I think that Heupel right now has enough leverage to say, I'm starting who I want to start, and it's your fault if you were stupid enough to give a high school kid all that money.
I'm not arguing with that. I'm not arguing with that at all. Nutrition World. If you haven't been to Nutrition World yet, go to nutritionw.com. If you go to those acronym stores, they're just going to say, hey, why don't you check that out? So the other day I was in Nutrition World, and their e-commerce store is incredible. You don't have to go in person, but Nutrition World, nutritionw.com has one of the best e-commerce stores in the nation, especially when it comes to supplements. So she pointed me to the right thing, and you've seen all this stuff advertised by big-time podcasters. She pointed me to the right thing and saved me like $80 when I was getting my monthly supplement, and it was fantastic. Well, they can do that. You can call them, nutritionw.com. You can go ahead and order if you know exactly what you need, or you can call them and they'll give you some direction. So, again, I have zero problem whatsoever with Tennessee going after a quarterback in the transfer portal. I would encourage them to do so like Sunday, okay? Because Sunday is when it opens. Don't wait and pick up a scrap guy that's going to just take snaps. Go to somebody and say, hey, here's the deal. You've got a year or two left. Nobody's sure about a freshman. Let me show you tape of Joe Milton. I'm not being mean to Joe, but let me show you tape of Joe Milton. You could come in and play right away. The X factor is Taven Jackson, and now he comes back from the collarbone injury. But, man, I'd rather have, going into spring, I'd rather have a guy with some college experience, two guys with college experience. I know Taven Jackson has some, but not really. Two guys with college experience, one guy that you like, and one guy that's uber talented. That to me sounds like a dream world of going into college, into spring practice, Amanda. How does it get any better than that?
I don't think it does, unless you had somebody who was proven on the field. That would be a better option.
Hendon Hooker finding another year would be the best option.
Yes, that would be the best option. But looking at all of these success stories of people transferring in and doing well, it's always the one and dones. So it's like the 1 year, the grad transfer, stuff like that. So if you could find somebody like that who's a grad transfer, I know Cade McNamara just went to Iowa from Michigan. If you could find that kind of, like the Virginia quarterback would be an excellent option because he's transferring out. If you could find somebody like that to start immediately, carry your team through 2023, and then have Nico sit behind him, that would be your best option. I'm not a big believer in Taven Jackson or Joe Milton for that matter. I'm just not. I think there are better options out there than those two. But, find somebody like the Virginia quarterback because he's real hot.
Why do you like Taven Jackson? Then I'll explain why I like Taven Jackson. Caleb.
I like Taven Jackson because I believe in Josh Heupel, and Josh Heupel, that was the first guy that he really targeted when he took over at Tennessee. And I've heard a lot of good things about his accuracy. He's more of from my understanding, he's more of an accurate quarterback than a big arm guy. And we have seen some issues with accuracy, and we saw it with Hendon Hooker, and we definitely see it with Joe Milton. And I'm not so sure Taven Jackson would have those same type of issues. He's not as mobile as either of them. But I think if you're more accurate, in Heupel's system, mobility then is not as important, quite honestly.
I think two things. I believe all that you said, but I think two things from a fundamental standpoint. I think he throws flat-footed, Joe Milton does, and I think he also has a hitch in his delivery when he brings the ball over. I think the ball opens up. So I've got issues with his delivery and his stance, which that ain't a good start. Now, Lane, go ahead.
And you know more than me. Isn't that a bit of an indictment against Heupel? Like, couldn't they have worked on that with 2 years of having Joe Milton there?
Man, yes and no. I think from the time that you pick up a rock and throw it to some extent when you're a kid, I think your throwing motion is sometimes formed. I think if you grow up in the Manning family and they look at you and you're 8 years old and you are doing some of those things that aren't good mechanics, I think they say, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't want to open the ball up when you bring it back. I think that's an advantage over just an average kid who's growing up. So I think you can fix some of those things, but I think some of it's just innate. I just don't think some of you could overcome. Now, as far as the flat-footedness, that's not a big issue with Josh Heupel. We've talked to Jonathan Crompton about that before. They're not a reset feet guy like David Cutcliffe was. So I don't think they have a big issue with his flat-footedness. I do. I mean, I think that's an issue in where the ball ends up. Ultimately, I think your feet determine that. And I think he's just a flat-footed guy. He's not on his toes. I mean, if you go back and watch highlights of Hendon Hooker and you just watch their feet, they're two completely different quarterbacks. So I want to switch gears to this latest Lane Kiffin tweet. Hit that like button. Please subscribe and share. By the way, Travis saying y'all are awfully hard. Before I switch gears, you all are awfully hard on a man who just won 56-0 in a freezing monsoon. Sheesh, give him through the bowl game. Totally agree, Travis. Totally agree. But here's the issue. you got to remember this. The transfer portal opens on Sunday. The bowl game is not going to be till January, and then the transfer portal closes on January the 15th. So I agree completely with what you're saying about the rain. I think that was really underplayed. It should have been more of a factor in his evaluation. But I'm just telling you, when I watch him as a quarterback mechanically, and I'm not David Cutcliffe, but I've been around the game a while, I don't like some of the things I see. Now, some of that can be fixed. And Travis, to your case, Hendon Hooker had deep ball issues as well, but that got righted. I mean, he's one of the best deep ball throwers I've probably since T. Martin that I've seen at Tennessee. You know, where he puts great arc on the ball and it drops in. That wasn't the case a year ago. So, yeah, Travis, I'll give you credit for that. Orange Blood said, yes, the big problem if you can't fix Hooker's high throws in 2 years. Well, I thought they did fix those, so I'm not exactly.
Maybe he meant Milton.
Milton, yeah. Joe says Joe needs to throw off his back foot. It might actually help. Yeah, there just doesn't seem to be a real follow through. It seems to be all arm to me. So,
a lot of arm. A lot of arm.
A lot of arm. A lot.
Big fat arm there. I mean, he does have a big fat arm. But to Dave's point with the transfer portal, you know, you have to jump on it fast. So if you're not 100% guaranteeing that Joe Milton is your guy, that you don't need somebody else, and still Joe Milton has questions. There are questions surrounding Joe Milton. So yes, you want to give him that opportunity, but jump in the transfer portal and grab somebody, because everybody else is going to be doing that. And if Joe Milton can't work out the problems that he has, you're going to be real rough next year. Just saying.
And Caleb, here's the other thing. We talked about leverage. Okay, so if you're Bob Jones and you got a call from 5 other schools and you're a quarterback and you're transferring from state U and Tennessee calls, you're picking up that phone because you saw what they did this year. Tennessee has new leverage in going after quarterbacks that they didn't have 5 months ago.
Oh, yeah, but that also actually might bolster the case of maybe wait till the bowl game only. I don't think so. I think go for the transfer now. But I'm saying if you're saying the case of believe in Milton and wait till the bowl game, you probably could, because you probably don't need, like you said, if you're Tennessee, you probably don't need that much time to sell yourself to a quarterback in the portal this year. Like you're right. You pick up the phone. Say the bowl games. I think they're most likely going to a bowl game on December the 30th, or the 31st. January 1st, I'm sorry?
One of the two, yes.
Yeah. January 1st, January 2nd, pick up a phone, call a quarterback. He might be in the system by January 3rd. He might, I mean, like, we're talking about.
Why not December the 5th and he's in bowl practice?
I agree, but I'm saying if you were talking about,
yeah,
you may not have about the timing of the transfer portal. I agree. I think you call now. I think you give him a call now, because I think you need that time. It's hard for me to say, because but college football is a business. You go with the best player. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to say, because I really like Joe Milton. I'm actually a fan of him as a person. I think he's a mentally tough, really good guy. And I think he's a type of leader that players would want to play for. I just don't think he can. I don't think, like, I'm with you, Dave. I don't think you can fix the problems he has.
Yeah, and if you have questions, then jump in there and grab somebody else just in case. This is right. Like Caleb's saying, it's a business. It is a business now. We have made it with the NIL and the transfer portal and everything else. It is now a business. So the need for coddling or, getting behind a quarterback because you like him, that's gone. The NFL doesn't do that. You don't get behind a quarterback because you like him. You get behind the person who's going to win. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we're going to be joined by Coach Lance in just about 15 minutes of play message board bingo. So we're looking forward to that. Orange Blood said, no, I meant Hooker. He's still throwing high. That's what got Tillman hurt. I thought that was also a low hit. But Hooker does still throw high. Hooker has some accuracy issues still. But if I were to rate them as far as a concern last year, they were a significant concern. I thought he got much better this year. when you went back and looked, and I did report cards throughout the season, it was really hard. I mean, everybody's going to miss some throws, guys. I mean, if you throw 38 passes, 4 of them are not going to be accurate. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Unless you're T. Martin in South Carolina in 1998.
Historian.
That was a bunch of swing passes and screen passes, and you know it.
I know. It was.
That was him the record, and it was laughable. Was that 98 or 99? I thought that
98. 98.
Oh my gosh.
There was one touchdown pass to Fearless Price over the middle. Let's give him some props for that one. But you're
beginning, and then when they realized they were pushing the record, it was every screen pass and swing pass in the world.
Well, T. Martin even said he was really confused why Cutcliffe kept calling the screen, because he was like, I didn't know the record. And I'm just like, why are you calling this play? It doesn't make sense. You keep calling it. And it's like, oh, Cutcliffe was trying to get him the record.
So Lane Kiffin tweeted out, I would tweet at you. Said Ole Miss football, I would tweet at you, but I guess you aren't allowed to respond by Auburn football. And he's talking to, of course, Hugh Freeze, the latest hire. What does this tweet tell you about Lane Kiffin?
I don't know. I mean, I was confused by the tweet. I'm not gonna lie.
That tweet tells me that Lane Kiffin knows where he's at with Ole Miss, and he's trying to make Ole Miss a sexier job. And quite honestly, I know we may disagree. I love it. I've always loved the troll in Lane Kiffin. I liked it in Steve Spurrier in the 90s. And so I'm not going to, if Steve Spurrier can do it in the 90s, Lane Kiffin can do it now. And quite honestly, I think Auburn deserves to be trolled relentlessly forever for hiring Hugh Freeze. I'm never not going to talk about how much I despise Hugh Freeze as a person. So
here's what it tells me. It tells me that the social media thing may have been a real factor in Lane Kiffin's not divorce, but I think he and Auburn were talking. And I think Auburn either changed their mind and I've done a lot of digging, and I have not come up with a concrete answer at this point. I've been told Lane Kiffin's kids didn't want to go. I shared my theory about perhaps he just spread that rumor out there because he wanted a raise from Ole Miss, which wouldn't surprise me. I've not found out if Auburn told him no or he told them no, but I will tell you this. I think it tells me that Lane Kiffin still has some maturity to go through, that he could grow up a little bit more, because if he's already playing the Twitter jokes, I wonder if it was brought up, hey, we don't like your tweeting. Can you dial back on that? And if that was an issue in his decision, that is a petty issue. That would be like me saying, Caleb, you can't wear striped shirts on the show. That is a petty, stupid issue.
I don't think so. I disagree.
How?
I think his tweeting and all that stuff makes him relevant, and it helps recruiting. I think people want to play for a guy who seems like he has a pair and goes after people and trolls and seems like he's fun to play for, and he has a personality. I mean, I think that recruits look at that and they're like, that's great. Like, this is hilarious. Like, I want to play for this dude.
So
and I think
to be clear, you both think that if Auburn said to him, we want control of your social media accounts, and he said no, that was in his best interest in long-term coaching?
Yes. I think him saying no, I mean, that's another thing, is it may be that he doesn't want to relinquish his social media accounts or whatever. And I think it does help with recruiting. I think Lane Kiffin would be not as big of a name if he didn't do what he does on social media. I think kids look at that and they like it. And I think that they like the swagger that he has. And maybe it's not just the social media accounts, but maybe it's the amount of control that institution was trying to put on him. If it's down to me with the Auburn, if you're going to your coach and going, we need control of your social media accounts, that seems like a very big red flag that's not where you want to be. Because if they want control of something so stupid as social media, what else do they want control of? Everything.
Okay.
And also, we know Auburn's administration is the most incompetent administration in the SEC.
Exactly.
And, and so for them to be like, hey, my God, you can't be on Twitter. And
Are they
like,
British? They turn British
I'm
all of a sudden? They'd be like, y'all can't be on Twitter now. Don't you get on Twitter?
I'm trying to say they think they're posh.
Oh,
and then they go and they hire Hugh Freeze. Do you want to work for an administration that thinks being on Twitter is worse than having Hugh Freeze as your head coach?
And as crappy as that is that they hired Hugh Freeze, now they have Cadillac Williams being their PR person.
Yes. The guy who
That's so
Cadillac Williams
wrong.
Yes.
Well, he has kind of maybe changed my mind a little bit. I was of the mindset before we started talking that I would give over social media control because I believe that I'm a good enough coach to be able to win anywhere without tweeting all the time. But I see your point.
Back in the day, yes. Not now.
I tell you, the point you need to make is going to Big Orange Phillies. Big Orange Phillies there in North Knoxville, close to Maynardville, close to Powell, and it's a great place in North Knoxville to go grab some fantastic food. Big Orange Phillies is simply awesome, whether it be lunch or whether it be watching some football this weekend. You can do that. Shoot some stick, throw some darts. You'll have a fantastic time at Big Orange Phillies, and they're awesome. Family friendly as well. Want to be sure and point that out. And check this out. I'm not wearing glasses. I don't have contacts, and I can see up close and far away thanks to LASIK from Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. That's Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. My LASIK is fantastic. Also, they're local. So if you've got a friend or family member that is interested in any sort of eye surgery that needs it, be it cataracts or LASIK, Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, Hahn, and also they have eye vision centers for whatever you need. Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Again, they're local. People are flying people in from all over the country to work on your eyes. You don't want that. Coach Lance message board bingo. This day in sports history coming up next. Loaded Off the Hook Sports with Amanda LaFrada, Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker.
Sun, sand, and salt water, the beach is a very relaxing place. Unless you wear contacts. Ow! Open your eyes to the best the beach has to offer with LASIK vision correction from Campbell Cunningham Laser Center.
Hey folks, Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ooltewah. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
This day in sports history, putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFrada.
New Kids on the Block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
This day in sports history is brought to you by our friends at Vols Automotive Group on Callahan in Knoxville. Vols Automotive Group is the center for your car buying experience. Great selection, and you'll be treated right. They want, they need, and they appreciate your business. And man, they're fantastic because they give you the best deal, and you know that you're on firm footing with them as far as a quality vehicle because they check all out before they purchase them. And also, they've got a service department where you'll be treated fairly, and I can assure you of that. So this day in sports history, and I just had it open and I've lost it. There it is. Okay, so December the 2nd, Tennessee beats the University of Richmond 77-64 in Knoxville, and that was back in 1967. So before we get to Coach Lance, Caleb, let me get your thoughts on what Tennessee did on Wednesday and moving forward into the weekend. What do you think of Vol hoops and where they stand so far right now?
I think they're in a really, really good spot. Talked about it yesterday. Their defense is very aggressive. I'm one who doesn't believe in. I'm not a fan usually of basketball coaches who emphasize defense because the fact of the matter is you can have the best defense in the world. When you get to March Madness, when you run into a team that's shooting red hot, there's no defense to stop good shooting. None whatsoever. Golden State's proved that in the NBA. And so that's why Barnes doesn't have a national championship. But for the regular season, I think they're looking really good, and this defense could carry them through to a 25-win regular season. And if they keep it up, and they don't even have their best defender right now, which is Jordan James. But problem is they need to start regularly shooting 40% from three if they're going to make any run in the tournament.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in Coach Lance joins us now. Coach Lance, how are you, sir?
Doing good, guys. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic. By the way, you have been slaying it. Josh, Coach Lance, whatever we want to call it, on your where they come up with names for the different schools online. That has just been golden. I love the Horned Frogs most of all because I've always wondered where that came from. I'm not sure if your explanation was steeped in any sort of fact or it was just fun, but that was fantastic.
It's all facts, Dave. Everything I put out is 100% accurate and true. And it does shoot blood from its eyes. It really does. A horned frog shoots blood from its eyes to scare off its other frogs, maybe.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You can look at, you should YouTube that. Look up some horned frog squirting some blood. It's pretty remarkable.
Coach Lance, we were talking before you got on. Who do you want to see lose or win this weekend, a championship weekend that doesn't involve Tennessee? So what do you want to see out of this weekend?
Well, I'm about to head in the car and go down there myself for the SEC championship game. It's going to be a good time. The good folks at Bush's Beans have invited me down to hang out and watch the game. Now, I guess I can't pick a favorite, but I'm pretty sure Georgia's going to win. And as a Tennessee fan, yeah, I want Georgia to win because it just proves how good they are. And we don't have to, if LSU wins, then everything gets messed up, I feel like. We're already not going to make it into the playoff anyway. So let's just keep everything the way it is. And I think Georgia's going to handle it no problem. What do you guys think? You guys picking Georgia easy?
Well, first, I think you're a fantastic human being.
Thank you.
Oh God, no, not with the bean joke.
Who did we have from the
Roger McCreary?
Roger McCreary, and I googled bean jokes. Man, I had him laughing so hard. I just went one after the other. Was he not? You have to, even though you thought they were corny, you had to admit that Roger McCreary was laughing really, really hard.
No, he was very, very impressed by all of the bean jokes that Dave was. I mean, that was the entire interview. We didn't ask him any questions. It was just Dave saying bean jokes and Roger McCreary laughing. That was it.
Yeah, I told him that he and I were meant to bean. See, everybody else is laughing. Amanda, why don't you like them?
Because I live with
He's
it.
probably heard it too many times already.
Yeah, I've heard them a billion times, and I live with the ultimate dad jokester, and he tells dad jokes all the time. So I'm just here for it.
Like we're only like 2 minutes in. This has already been a fantastic interview.
No,
There you go.
stop it.
Why
Stop
was,
it.
why wasn't the young veggie allowed to start in the game?
Oh my gosh.
He was a green bean.
Stop it.
That's the corniest of the ones so far. 100%.
And it's rough. And then he starts making up his own. So I'm just
Why
warning you.
Why wouldn't the teacher bring the class to the green bean farm? It was in a seedy part of town.
Oh man.
Yeah,
You should write a book.
see, y'all thought y'all are going, oh, Amanda, it's so funny. Yeah, here you go. Try taking that for 2 days.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh, but it's like.
So what are you doing with the Bush's Beans guys?
Just going down there to hang out with them, man, and probably enjoy some nice chili. I think. Watch the game, and maybe
sounds like a real gas. You gotta, Amanda, a little credit, please.
Dave, I was with you every day at SEC Media Days, and this is all I heard the whole time. Bean jokes. Beans.
I never went
all
chili
the time.
gas. I can go that far. But interesting.
Did you?
Okay, hit that like button if you like my jokes. And
Dude, I wouldn't say that. I just hit the like
please
button.
don't do that. No.
Just hit the like button anyways. Don't put it It's okay if you don't like Dave jokes.
Okay, so we're gonna play a little message board bingo, and this is the way it works. Amanda reads off a message board post, and then she's going to be able. Do you have the hooker shirt on?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, look at you. By the way, I'm trying to think of anybody, and it's on the message board too, but anybody here in the panel. I'm trying to think. Obviously, I mean, they're not as sellable, appreciated now that he's had the injury, but I'm trying to think of a way that we could maybe, I don't know, generate revenue for one of his preferred charities or something. Y'all think about that over the weekend and get back to me, okay? We'll reconvene on Monday.
Homework. Got it. The Hooker will go down as a legend at Tennessee for his revival of this team, along with obviously many others.
Yeah.
You should change the back of them and just put Hooker on the front and then put the back, the legend.
Yes. An incredible human being.
Man is done.
I'm no longer contributing to anything. No, I'm done.
On the program, you're done. All right.
She's been done for a while.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Amanda, I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, you're fine.
Caleb, jump in there. You got any bean jokes?
I got hooker jokes. I don't have bean jokes. Sorry.
Hooker ones.
But
hooker ones are too.
Like for instance, would you, with the hooker shirt, would you rather get picked up by Bobby Petrino or Hugh Freeze? I'm sorry.
No, I don't even think that young lady was a hooker that was on Petrino's bike. I think she was just a.
No, she wasn't. She was an I I'm just saying he probably has picked up hookers before. That's not. That's a guess, guys. I don't think that. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't actually know.
I don't understand the need to pick up hookers when you're like a coach or something like that. Like, don't you have? I mean, there's all kinds of girls running around next to you with daddy issues. Like, why are you going after a hooker?
Well, who was the comedian who said you don't pay a hooker to to come over, you pay a hooker to leave?
Yeah, you're not paying for the sex, you're paying for them to leave. That's
this has gone off the rails.
Yes. All right. Here we go.
Let's go back to beans. I'm uncomfortable.
Yes. I've been uncomfortable for 30 seconds. All right.
God bless.
So here we go. So the question is, if you can tell me exactly, Orange Blood says Amanda's going to give Dave a black eye, as in a P. All right. So I get it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Amanda's going to read off a post for a message board. And if you can tell us which team's message board is on that, you're going to win. How about a hooker shirt? I've got some of those left to give away, and we'll hook you up with that. So we'll take care of you. And I would love for you to wear that hooker shirt with pride, because heard or not, he helped transform Tennessee's program to what it is today. I mean, let's all think about this for a second. What's Tennessee's record, real quick, off the top of our heads, if Joe Milton is the starting quarterback from day one?
6 wins, 6-6.
Oof.
7-5. I think they lose to Pittsburgh, Florida, and Alabama.
8-4. Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think
7 or 8. Yeah,
he's going to be the guy next year, right?
I don't know.
We'll see.
We're going to wait and see. I think we're going to see. He might be, but we shall see. All right, so message board bingo is brought to you by Chill Pills. Craft Treats. CraftTreats.com is a great place to go for your Chill Pills. Chill Pills is great for your pet. It helps with arthritis. It helps with anxiety. It helps with digestive issues, and it's really helped with my pet. I've talked about it. It's had trouble jumping up on the bed because it's kind of a high bed. And now, since I've been giving it Chill Pills regularly, it's really, really helped. Go to crafttreats.com and use the promo code Off the Hook. That's Off the Hook, and you get 20% off, or you might be able to win right here. And then also Owl's Nest Barbecue in Ooltewah. Owl's Nest Barbecue has just some absolutely incredible sauces and rubs, and they got the expertise, and they got the Green Mountain Grill. So we're going to play message board bingo. Here's the way it works. So on a Friday, Caleb and Coach Lance will both have the opportunity to answer this. And if they get it first, then you have no opportunity to win. No soup for you. But if you can answer it first, then you can win a Hooker shirt. So how about that? Message board bingo is now. Are you ready, Amanda?
Yes.
Here we go.
Every time I see a UM player, I pray that they feel the immense pain of unrequited love, also herpes.
All right, Coach Lance.
Ohio State.
It is not Ohio State.
Michigan State.
It is Michigan State.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I used process of elimination. Amanda had Ohio State on yesterday's message boards question, so I just didn't think she'd do it 2 days in a row.
Mitchell had Mississippi State, because I thought for a second they rarely use it, but you might have been UM as in Ole Miss. They rarely use the UM, but that's where I was going to for some reason. So, all right, throw us out another one. Let's see what else we got.
Should we leave the Big Ten for the SEC? I know it won't happen because the research dollars dwarf the athletic dollars, but in this new age where traditions and geographic location don't mean anything, we should call Warren's bluff and jump ship. The size of our alumni base, our TV ratings, and the ability to get into the Midwest market would be very attractive to the SEC.
I know who this is.
Caleb, you going first?
I'm going to say Nebraska.
No, it's not Nebraska. Who do you think it is, Dave?
I don't want to. Do you mean say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Travis says Iowa. Mitchell says Ohio State. I feel certain it's Oklahoma State.
No.
Oh.
Nope. None of the above.
Oklahoma State's not in the Big Ten.
Very
you said
true.
Big Ten, right? I'm thinking
I
Purdue.
thought you said Big 12. I'm sorry. Okay. Then I'm way in the dark. All right.
I say Purdue.
Purdue.
It's not there. Purdue.
Okay, so let me give you a Big Ten guess. It's not Iowa, not Ohio State, which Travis and Mitchell just recently said.
No.
Mitchell said Nebraska. Purdue was guessed, so I don't want to take any of their guesses. Okay, so if it's in the Big Ten, why would you jump to the SEC?
Dave's praying. Are you praying about it before you answer?
Yes, and the Lord is not taking me to the correct answer. I'm stumped. I thought you said Big 12 at first, so that's my bad. So what is it?
No, it's not Wisconsin.
Chris said Wisconsin.
It is not Wisconsin. It is Michigan State again.
Michigan State. Wow.
Really?
Yep.
See, I could see that. I don't know about you guys, but I could see like the Oklahoma and Texases of the world. But there's some schools that seem so steeped in tradition in their conference. let's just open up this. What other team could you? Okay, I'm going to take these. As far as a non-Southern team like Florida State, Clemson, who could you see jumping in the SEC? Like, to me, Texas and Oklahoma, they are not Southern. They're not Southeast teams, right? But they make some sense because they're football first. So,
and they're in the South.
Technically, I mean, I don't.
Do border states count, Dave? Can we count border states?
Yes. And Amanda looked at me funny. Texas to me seems like a different South. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to anybody else? Am I crazy? I mean, it's in the South, but it's not the South.
You know, they say that about Florida too, and Florida is in the SEC. So
Florida should just be lopped off the country. But
Florida is great.
Florida's great if you like jorts.
Okay, you're taking
like
the University of Florida and combining it with the state of Florida, which is wrong.
Okay, so Texas and Oklahoma are Southeast only to Alaska. I agree with that. All right, so what teams would you add if you could add one tomorrow?
West Virginia.
Ooh, see, that's a very underrated one. I had to cover 2 games at West Virginia. That is a very SEC-like setting. Now, it is very odd because it is when you go to like local sports bars and restaurants, it is like you're in New Jersey because all those people come down. It's very, it's very, I guess, Italian American, which is strange when you're in the middle of West Virginia. But
I lived in Western Maryland for 5 years, and it's like West Virginia was to the south, Pennsylvania was to the north, 2 miles either way. And,
but the game day is very similar to SEC. Coach Lance.
Well, Caleb stole mine. I was going to say West Virginia, but I could also see, you could also see maybe a team like Virginia Tech or Louisville.
That's mine.
Louisville, that's a good one. I just thought we were ignoring Southern schools. So schools in when I think Southern, I'm like I was eliminating schools in states that were part of the Confederacy, basically. So
right.
Travis says add Clemson and FSU. If it were up to destroy the programs. If it were me and I could, and let's say the SEC just had to add 4, it would be Clemson. This has nothing to do with if it's the right business move, okay? But I would add Clemson, Florida State. I would add Georgia Tech. Again, some of these are ACC schools, and they're locked into that crazy contract they have, and West Virginia. Those would be the 4 that I would add. I think it'd be neat to have a hub there in Atlanta. I think that Florida State and Clemson could benefit greatly, and they feel like Southern teams to me. I think they both had the option. I know Florida State did to join the SEC in the early 90s, and Bobby Bowden essentially said, I'm not going to go in the SEC and get my brains beat in. He was very open about it, and he was right. And then West Virginia is the one dark horse that a lot of people may not know about, but is super cool. All right, guys, let's give a prediction for the SEC championship game. I want points because I believe we all believe Georgia is going to win. Coach Lance will be there with the Bush's baked beans people. So,
okay,
what do we got? Let's start with you, Coach Lance.
All right, I'm thinking maybe a 38-21 Georgia victory.
I'm close to that. I'm gonna go with like more along the lines of a 34-17. I'm gonna go to 31-17. That feels worse than it is. It's just kind of that slow pounding, drubbing. Amanda LaFrada.
I'm gonna go 42-21, and I think some of the points that LSU gets are defensive.
I could see that for sure. Yeah, that's how it gets really lopsided. Caleb?
I'm with Dave. I think Georgia wins, but it's like an ugly not covering win. So you stole my 31-17 score, funny enough. But I'm gonna go 24. I'm gonna go a little lower. I'm gonna go 24-10. Funny enough. What I do think is like we who have covered Tennessee know this. LSU is like the one team that has a history of giving you trouble in the SEC championship when they're clearly outmatched. And so I think that's the only time in an SEC championship history, the Tennessee LSU 01, where the team that had beaten the team in the regular season lost in the SEC title. And so
it's the only time a 3-win team won the SEC championship game.
Yeah, only Tennessee would be the ones to be the victim of that.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, guys, have a fantastic weekend. Appreciate you this week. Coach Lance, you're the man. Stay undefeated. Amanda, you're always awesome. Caleb and I will be on top of stuff this weekend as the transfer portal opens on Sunday. So go to offthehooksports.com. Have a blessed weekend, everyone. This has been a